Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Cunningham. I am General Counsel for Bluegrass Community Foundation, and I'm here today to talk about the rules, policies, and procedures for the 2022 Good Giving Challenge. So just to get started, a reminder that registration for this year's Good Giving Challenge is now open. It opened on June 1st and will remain open through the end of September. So get on there before October 1 to get your registration started. We are excited to be coming back now for our 12th year of working with you all to help promote philanthropy throughout Central and Appalachia, Kentucky. And so while we will cover this again throughout the webinar, please just make sure that you're aware of a couple of key changes to this year's challenge. And first off being that the challenge will run from Tuesday, November 29th at 9 a.m. until Friday, December 2nd at 11:59 p.m. So we are not going to be entering the weekend this year. Also, all participants this year must have a gold seal of transparency from GuideStar. So a gold seal that's increased from our requirements from last year. So keep that in mind as you continue your registration. Remember, you can contact Barbara Fisher at our office if you have any questions about your GuideStar profiles. So now you may be wondering about why it is that this year we are actually requiring you to review this webinar on the rules. And really the simple answer to that is for protection for you, for your organization, for your donors, and for the community foundation. Because as you know, there can be some complex rules and regulations around charitable giving. And so we are here to help you navigate that by ensuring that you're following all state, federal, local rules, making sure that you're also conducting a way of best practices for nonprofit organizations. And so, we don't think that anyone's out there, twiddling their thumbs, like brainstorming ways to get around the rules and regulations of the challenge. But we have noticed that some organizations have done some things in the last couple of years that really did not line up with our rules, policies, and procedures. So this webinar is intended to provide both the clear-cut rules as well as some additional examples and other reasoning to help ensure that everyone is compliant with our policies. That way you can all continue to participate with us in the Good Giving Challenge in the future. So as I said previously, this webinar is required for participation in the challenge this year. So in the webinar, there will be a time where I provide you with a code that you will need to enter into the rules and procedures certification page. And so make sure that you're paying attention, listening to that. And again, just for verification that you completed the required webinar. We will send out via DocuSign the rules, policies, and procedures page. I will talk a little bit more about what that process looks like, but you will be receiving an email from me through DocuSign to get electronic signatures to verify that you have watched this full recording and understand and intend to abide by the rules. Okay, so let's get started. So rule number 1, the 2022 Good Giving Challenge is hosted by BGCF in partnership with Smiley Pete Publishing. All participants adhere to the policies and procedures. It is the nonprofit's responsibility to participate in BGCF trainings on how to best participate in the challenge. So, really we encourage all of you to participate in voluntary trainings as well as make sure you do any of the required materials. Because Lauren and our communications and marketing team do such a great job at giving tips and tricks on how to make the most out of your challenge participation so that you can make the most out of your challenge check. All right, rule number 2, all gifts must be made on the Good Giving Challenge website, bggives.org. You should all know that by heart now. And they have to be made between 9 a.m. on November 29th, which is Giving Tuesday, and 11:59 p.m. on Friday, December 2nd. Again, remember, Friday, December 2nd, 11:59 p.m. in order to be eligible for the Good Giving Challenge. Gifts other than credit and debit card or ACH check, including if nonprofits or if individuals bring your nonprofit a gift of cash, gifts of things like IRA transfers, stock distributions, things like that, checks written directly to your organization, those are not processed through bggives.org. Those will not count for the Good Giving Challenge. So we get this question every single year. Well, what should we do? Someone wrote us a check. Well, you say thank you and you celebrate that you got a gift because of your marketing and promotion through the challenge. While it might not go on the leaderboard, it can still go in your bank account. So deposit that gift, work with that donor. But again, make sure you're working within the parameters of gifts that are made on Good Giving website at bggives.org from November 29th, 9 a.m. through 11:59 p.m. Friday, December 2nd. Okay, rule number 3, all gifts must be made by a donor. Participating nonprofits are prohibited from donating to themselves or to any affiliated entity. BGCF and Smiley Pete Publishing cannot, under any circumstance, enter a donor's gift. So this rule seems to always cause some confusion for a couple of organizations out there. And so when we say you cannot make a gift to yourself, that means you cannot use your organization's funds to make a contribution through the challenge for your organization. So for example, we had a group last year who had some questions about, well, could their board members each contribute $100 to the organization and then the organization use their bank account to make a large gift through the challenge? No, you cannot do that. Donors have to make their own gifts themselves. So nonprofits may not use their own assets to make a gift to their organization through the challenge. Okay. And second piece to this, do not collect checks or other gifts from donors prior to the challenge, stash those away, and then try to enter them as gifts during the challenge so that you can get matches and prizes. We understand that match and prize money is a huge deal. That's one of the biggest reasons that the vast majority of you all participate in the Good Giving Challenge. However, the Good Giving Challenge is set as an online giving campaign for a specific period of time to engage donors to go online and contribute to your organization. This is not something where you collect checks starting in May, put them in a drawer, and then when the challenge comes up, decide that you're going to make the decision on behalf of your donors as to when and how you input their gifts. No, do not do that. If you do that, and we find out that you're hoarding checks and doing that, then you can become disqualified from future participation in the challenge, and those gifts can become disqualified for match and prize money. So please, please keep that in mind. Do not hoard all of your checks and enter those at one time during the challenge. All right, rule number 4. Donations are time-stamped and processed when a donor completes checkout on the bggives.org website. Please note, the timestamp is based on the platform. It is not based on your donor's computer, and that timestamp cannot be adjusted. I know that a significant amount of our matching prizes are first come, first serve, and so just repeating this one for good measure, it does not matter that your donor's computer clock said 9 o'clock if the platform's timestamp said 9:03. We do not have the ability to change a timestamp for a donation. So please keep that in mind. Okay, rule number 5. The minimum gift to the challenge will be accepted is $10, and there's no maximum gift. So no gift is too big. But I do just want to make a point here that donors should be cognizant of potential limits on their own banking or credit cards. And we have had individuals who have tried to give very large amounts before, and they may have had something with their own bank that didn't allow that to be processed. So if you have donors who are contacting you with questions about making large gifts, just make sure that they are in communication with their own bank or credit card to ensure that that's not going to become a failed transaction. All right, rule number 6. Every gift made by donors to nonprofits through the challenge website is irrevocable and unrestricted. If a nonprofit organization encourages donations for particular purposes, including promoting project-specific peer fundraising pages, it is up to the nonprofit organization to honor the donor intent for said purposes. So what does this mean? When we cut the challenge checks at the end of the challenge to your organization, those are sent to you for general purposes. But it is up to you to consider best practices and donor intent if you marketed restricted purposes in order to garner those donations. So for example, if you set up or encourage people to set up a their own peer fundraising page that said, we're going to raise money and we're going to try to get up to $1,000 for supplies for our art table, then when you get your big check, you should make sure that you're honoring the intent of the donors who gave under the guise that the funds would be used for that particular project, okay? And so also note that while gifts are irrevocable and cannot be refunded just for any general reason, if a donor does make a mistake in entering a donation, so they enter $1,000 instead of $100, we can work with them to make corrections on that end. So we can't just refund anything because a donor requests it, but if there's a mistake or an error in entering the gift amount, we can work with donors. Okay, rule number 7. Prizes awarded during the BGCF Endowment Challenge will be contributed to a qualifying nonprofit's endowment fund at BGCF. Here's a little bit of a change this year. Nonprofit organizations will only be considered qualifying for endowment challenge prizes if the organization has an endowment fund at BGCF. Endowment funds must be opened prior to November 1 and meet BGCF's endowed fund minimum of $10,000 to be eligible. So again, this is a slight rule change this year. So while I cannot speak to what prizes are being offered yet this year, any endowment prizes that are awarded will only be awarded to organizations who have an existing endowment fund at the community foundation. So if you are interested in opening an endowment fund at the community foundation prior to November 1st, you can contact me. I'm happy to talk you through that process, but please understand that any specific endowment challenge prizes will go for nonprofit organizations that have existing endowment funds. Okay, rule number 8. Donations to the challenge are considered donations to BGCF and are granted in aggregate to the participating nonprofits at the conclusion of the challenge. Please be aware that failed transactions do occur. So final checks to nonprofits will be reduced by the amount of any failed transactions, and the nonprofit's donation report will be updated to reflect that new total. So while nonprofits may choose to issue a thank you note to donors, they should not issue a charitable tax receipt because the donor will receive an official charitable receipt via email immediately following his or her donation. So again, 2 parts to this rule. Number 1, transactions from banks and credit card companies can take a significant amount of time to process for any potential failures. This is why it takes a few weeks to get your challenge check following the close of the challenge. I know so many of you want to include those funds in your 2022 calendar year, but we can't write out checks to you all without having full funds available, knowing what's actually processed, what's been failed. And so please don't expect to receive your challenge check until January of 2023. Now, the second part, BGCF is a nonprofit organization. So when donors contribute to us, we issue a tax receipt. Do not issue a second tax receipt to your donors from a challenge gift, okay? But we would encourage you to send a thank you note to your donors. So you're going to have access to all your donor information unless they select to be anonymous, and you can use that to send your thank you notes, but please do not send a separate tax receipt. Okay, rule number 9. BGCF reserves the right to review all charitable donations and determine their eligibility as qualifying gifts for challenge matches and prizes. Gifts found in violation of these rules may be disqualified from receiving matches and prizes. Violations may also result in nonprofit disqualification for future challenge participation. Okay, so this is a very key rule. So while there are thousands of transactions that come in each year to the challenge, it should be noted that BGCF's team does thoroughly review the transactions. So if you are doing things that violate these rules, we're going to consult with your organization and we will disqualify gifts for matches, for prizes, and potentially, depending on what it is that you're doing, disqualify your organization for future challenge participation. So follow the rules because we will find out. Okay, rule number 10. All donations will be paid to the chosen nonprofit net of fees. The platform has a combined 5.2% fee per donation. So BGCF and Smiley Pete Publishing put on the Good Giving Challenge as a community service. We do not financially profit from any of these fees. These fees are charged per transaction and go to the credit card and bank processing companies. We do not receive them. But rule 11, donors may elect to opt in to help cover fees during checkout. By selecting yes to cover the fees, the donation will be increased by that 5.2% to help cover those fees. So, just so that a significant percentage of donors do elect to opt in on covering fees. And so in doing so, they increase the total amount of their donation, but that helps your organization as the nonprofit recipient to get the makeup piece for that fee. Okay, rule 12, participating nonprofits shall not offer goods or services, including, but not limited to, dinner tickets, membership fees, admission tickets, prizes, incentives, and other gifts in exchange or as a reward for a donation to its nonprofit during the challenge. Okay, so this is our big IRS no quid pro quo rule. Okay, so that simply means there cannot be any exchange of goods or services if a person is getting a charitable tax receipt. So please do not try to be sneaky on this piece. We do follow your social media pages and we do see your activities. And let me tell you, you better believe it that if we don't see it, another organization will, and they will call us and tell us about it. Everyone is watching. Everyone is letting us know what you all are doing. So please, no goods or services in exchange or as a reward for donating to the challenge. Okay, rule 13. Unless a donor requests to remain anonymous, participating nonprofits will receive the following information: contact information, gift amount, date and time of the gift, and any special instructions. So again, this is where we go back to those best practices in donor intent. Special instructions may include if the gift is in memory or honor of someone, or if the gift is for a specific program of the nonprofit. For gifts from anonymous donors, nonprofits will receive only information about the amount, date, time of gift. Okay, so you're not going to get names and contact information for those anonymous donors. All right, rule 14. Nonprofit participants are encouraged to recruit their own match donors to further incentivize giving. These optional match donations may be made via bggives.org or directly to the nonprofit at the conclusion of the challenge. Only match payments made on bggives.org by credit card or e-check, ACH checking will be eligible for prizes and other matching dollars. So match payments made by cash or by check that are sent to the nonprofit organization will not count toward challenge totals. BGCF will not include any match prizes in the challenge or leaderboard totals unless they are entered as donations through bggives.org. So matches are great. You can feel free to request donors provide matches, to tell your donors about real matches that you have secured to increase giving. But if a donor sends a match following the conclusion of the challenge, or they just choose to give you a direct match instead of processing that during the challenge through bggives.org, then we cannot and will not add that match to the challenge leaderboard or consider it for prizes and matching dollars. Okay, rule 15. The leaderboard provides a snapshot summary of charitable activity during the challenge. It is not used to determine the outcome of the challenge events and may not always reflect real-time reporting on donations made. So, as we've said previously, it takes a while for donations to process, and some donations fail for a wide variety of reasons. So your check at the end of the challenge could look different than the amount listed on the leaderboard. Please keep that in mind. All right, Rule 16. So registration is now open. In order to participate in the 2022 Good Giving Challenge, the following is required by October 1. Okay, you need a gold seal of transparency from guidestar.org. Again, this is different than last year. So you need to review your GuideStar profile to make sure that you're in compliance prior to completing your registration. Okay, so check your GuideStar profiles, make sure you have enough information that you are now at a gold seal of transparency. All required information has to be logged in to the bggives.org site. So when you go on and you register, make sure that you're providing enough information that you're meeting all of those requirements. We do have our $500 participation fee, and that must be received by October 1. And you must sign and return the acknowledgement of receipt and understanding of the rules, policies, and procedures. So what we have been discussing in this webinar. So Rule 17, last one. Failure to comply with any requirements or rules as outlined will disqualify nonprofits from participating in the 2022 Good Giving Challenge or from receiving prizes, match pools, and awards, and may disqualify the nonprofit from participating in future Good Giving challenges. So follow the rules. If you have questions about the rules, contact us and ask for clarification. But this is not a act now, ask for forgiveness later situation. When the IRS is involved, that's not how things work. So follow the rules or face disqualification. All right, so in our rules, policies, and procedures document, which we will be sending to all of you all, there are 3 different boxes that you will be required to check off on. First, saying that you certify that you have read, understand, and agree to all of these rules, policies, and procedures, and that you agree to participate in the challenge subject to these rules, policies, and procedures. You certify that you viewed this webinar, and you will provide the following verification code. So the verification code that you should enter in this section is GGC22. Okay, so I'll repeat that. The verification code to enter in the rules, policies, and procedures document to verify that you have watched the webinar is GGC22. And finally, you certify that you understand that failure to comply with any requirements or rules as outlined in this document in this webinar will disqualify your organization from participating in the challenge or could disqualify your organization from receiving prizes, match dollars, or awards, and may disqualify your nonprofit from participating in future Good Giving challenges. So we will be sending out, following registration, an email to you from DocuSign for electronic signature and certification. You have to sign this and it gets automatically sent back to me when you sign it, but you have to do that prior to the close of registration, so prior to October 1. So I will also send an email letting you know that the DocuSign has been sent. That way, if you don't receive it, you can let me know. And so the email from DocuSign actually says that it is from DocuSign, so it could end up in your spam. So please keep that in mind. So once you hear from me saying, thank you for registering, thank you for watching the required webinar, here is your DocuSign, you can expect to receive that soon. And if you don't, let me know so we can make sure it gets to you. Okay. Now, finally, if you have questions, we are here to help at the Community Foundation. So all general questions about the challenge, whether it's about registration, participation, match prizes and awards, even these rules and regulations can be answered by Lauren Parsons, who is our Director of Strategic Initiatives and Communications. Questions specific to GuideStar and getting your account to gold standard should be directed to Barbara Fisher, our Director of Nonprofit Services. And you are also welcome to send questions directly to me, particularly about the rules and regulations, or if you are interested in learning more about opening up a charitable endowment fund for your organization so that you're eligible to receive endowment prizes. So feel free to reach out to the Community Foundation, ask us for questions, ask for clarification if needed, and good luck in this year's Good Giving Challenge. Thank you.